Welcome to Mindset Mastery Moments, the best growth mindset podcast recognized by Million Podcasts and ranked as a top mindset podcast by FeedSpot. We're proud to be in the top 1% on Listen Notes. Join Dr. Alisa White as we explore powerful insights and strategies to elevate your mindset. Let's dive in.
Welcome back to another episode of Mindset Mastery Moments, where we disrupt limitations, rewire thinking, and build the confidence to lead differently. I am Dr. Alisa, the #1 mindset disruptor, and today's conversation is going to challenge every single thought of overnight success. Because my guest today doesn't sugarcoat anything. He's bold, he's unapologetic, and he's built an entire movement around one truth: you have to do the work. And this is exactly what pulled me in when I met my guest. He's a business strategist, branding genius, brand alchemist, and a transformation coach who's helped entrepreneurs and organizations evolve their identity and income through influence and real leadership. He's also a proud dad, a lover of sports, cars, and working out, and one of the most authentic voices when it comes to building a business that actually works without you being trapped inside of it. And that, we talk a lot about building your dream, but also creating freedom for yourself. We are speaking than no other than Mr. Travis Brady. Travis, we're so excited to have you on Mindset Mastery Moments. Welcome to the show. In your own words, tell us who you are, what you do, and why you do it.
Hey, really grateful to be here. Congrats on all your success with this podcast. We had Dr. Alisa White at Brand X on the women's panel. It was fire. A bunch of boss babes up there just rocking it. Wish it could have gone longer. I was up there with the men too, running that panel. So same thing, wish it could have gone longer. So really grateful to be here. I'm on a mission to redefine what branding means. I've been in the branding space for the last 10 years. Prior to that was coaching, fitness coaching, transformation coaching, and got to learn just a lot about how we create our identity, how we create who we are. And a lot of how we create who we are is based upon how we grow up. And we carry these limitations, we carry this identity, this narrative about ourselves into our business. And so I'm really here to help people that want to be seen as brand leaders, share their story with the world and really show up in the most powerful way. And so I also have a men's mastermind called the Arizona Brotherhood, and it's a group dedicated to faith-based men that want to be around other men, elite men in business, network, and grow their business. And so it's been a lot of fun. We've been doing a lot of fun things, and one of the things I love doing is coming on podcasts and talking, and so I'm excited for today.
Travis, absolutely. I'm so excited to have you. Like you said, I was honored to be on the women's panel at your Brand X event. You are doing such amazing work, and you all know I live in Arizona, so nothing beats connecting with an individual as clear and as hardworking, but very brilliant and strategic at the same time. So when I met Travis a couple of months ago, and he allowed me to speak on his platform. I actually attended the event. There were so many entrepreneurs there, so much networking, the layout of everything he did from promotion. It was very simplified. It was clear, simple to go move through the event as a speaker, because that's one of the things, Travis, I'm going to say. I know we're jumping ahead. We're going to get back it, but I can't help but say that the system was so easy for me to move through as a speaker. I didn't have to question what I was going to do next from getting my stuff over to you. It was all you and your team. It was just so well done. Here's a question before we get into the other stuff. Why do you think so many, I would say, entrepreneurs and event planners, when they're putting on these huge events like you do, suffer with really keeping coordinated and organized?
Yeah, I mean, it's not taught in any classes in school, right?
Exactly. And it's not in any course you take in as a coach, or even very few. I've only been in one speaking program, well, two, and only one of them did, but he's my partner and he's above and beyond. So yeah, it's not really taught to anyone.
Yeah, I like to refer to myself as a student, although someone put me in the category of leader, and I've been a student for a long time. And prior to putting together my first event back in 16, I went to other events and I just soaked up as much knowledge. I was very aware. What are they doing? Why are they doing that? I hired the coaches. Why do you do it this way? Why do you that way? And really, as many coaches as you hire, you still have to learn through hard knocks life.
Come on.
I appreciate that. And there's also been times where it's been opposite of that earlier on in my journey, trying to figure it all out. And so I guess that's just a testament to all of us for continuing to put in the hard work, move through those tough times. If it doesn't work, continue to find out how you get better. I was at a mastermind with Andy Frisella years ago. Do you know who Andy Frisella is?
No, I'm not
He's
familiar.
he's
Maybe I know
considered
of him, but not didn't
oh,
record the
okay.
name.
Yeah, and very hardcore warrior mindset. I can only listen to him so much because it overhypes me a little bit too much. But he said something to me that really hit. He's like, I can stand up here and tell you guys all the things about business and they'd all be true. But the biggest thing I really have for you today is stop making the same mistakes in your business.
Ooh,
And that really hit me. I was like, yeah, we do. We have a tendency to make the same mistakes over and over in business. And I think that's really where it gets frustrating is we keep doing the same things over and over and expecting a different results. Or we try to outwork a strategy. We think that just by working harder, that the strategy will work because I'm putting more work into it. And that definitely can help. But yeah, anyway,
yes.
so that's just a testament to those disciplines.
Those disciplines, and that's it, and that's what I love about your platform. You don't have a mindset of there's no get rich quick scheme behind it, and we'll talk some more about that in a little bit. You said, "I found myself wanting results more than my clients." I think every leader, coach, and entrepreneur listening has been there before. We want the win so badly for people we serve that we forget that they have to want it too. Tell us a little bit about that because that would be one of the reasons I burned out a few years ago, maybe a couple years ago when it comes to coaching.
Yeah. No, I call it the coach's journey for sure, and it is a
Yeah.
wild one. It's a wild one for sure.
Yes.
And I'm so glad you're bringing this up because this is one of my biggest epiphanies, I would say, this year. I was actually doing a video, on it the other day. I'd say earlier in my career, I come from a sports background, so I was like, whatever we have to do to win, if it's by my hit or someone else's hit, whatever the case might be. And so I'm coming in to work with these people. And it's been like an ongoing thing, throughout my career. And I think a lot of coaches can absolutely resonate with it is, you people hire you and you think they're going to be just as dedicated as you are. They're going to go to the gym every day. They're going to open the folder. They're going to go networking. They're going to do the things, whatever's
Mhm.
needed, not what's convenient, whatever's needed. And that's not always the case. And I earlier in my career, I think I set up I branded it wrong. I set up the expectations wrong. I said, "Hey, come in, get behind me, and I'm going to pave the path. I'm going to get you to your results." And I
Mm,
very much meant it too. I very much like whatever I need to do. If I need to swallow my ego, if I need to humble myself more, if I need to spend more time with you, I'm willing to do that. And I think it set up the idea that maybe back in their mind that they're not going to have to do all the work. And
right.
again, your clients are like wet cements. You only have so much time to mold them the way that they need to be molded for success. And so after they
Exactly.
mold, if you didn't mold them the right way, now it's chipping at cement to change them the way that it needs to be for them to create results. And a
Mhm.
lot of people don't realize this. This is why I say 75% of a coaching program is literally within the first 3 sessions. The sales session, the follow-up session, that pretty much sets the trajectory because you've already molded them the way that you wanted to mold them. And if you didn't right now
Mm,
it's chipping at cement. Now it's going back and resetting those expectations. But now my mindset is more is like, I want to find bad mother truckers I can get behind. I want to find people that I can fight before. I
yes.
have this tattoo that says King Maximus. It's from
Mm.
my dog. My dog's name was Max. He just passed away a few months ago. Such a hard
Sorry to
time
hear
in my
that.
life.
Yeah.
I'll try not to get too teary eyed here. Lucius, my other
That
dog,
is
like right here beside me. He's have you ever seen Gladiator 2? Have you seen Gladiator 2 yet?
yes, I
Yeah,
have. Yeah.
by so Maximus, and then this is Lucius, so I named him after
Lucius. Yes, that's what it's saying. Oh my gosh.
yeah, so
I'm
King
so
Maximus, you sh
sorry to hear
yeah,
that.
it's,
That's a family member, and I've lost family members, so And
Yeah.
something dogs are way more loyal and kind than some family members, so I can only imagine.
Yeah, he was my shadow, and, yeah, he went through so many hard times,
Mm,
went through the process, and I learned the power of presence through him. He didn't
yes.
say anything at all, he'd just sit there, and he'd just hold space for you, and, like, how
Yes.
often do we mess that up as leaders, you know?
Ooh, there you go. And that's the that when you say that, that juxtaposition showed up right there in my head when talking about the Travis when you first started as a coach and then where you are now. That's exactly what it looks like. We need to hold space for the individual. But when you talk about those first 3 sessions that set the tone, you're saying that however that coaching relationship is gonna be between you as a coach and your client, you set the tone within the first 3. Tell us the ingredients of as much as you can, and we can't teach people how to coach right now on this call. That's why we sign up to work with you. But what would you say are a couple of those major ingredients in those 3 sessions?
Yeah, kinda going back to what I was saying, I try to be a king, as much as I can, but I realize I'm not a king, I'm a warrior. I need to fight for something. I need to fight for a kingdom or empire, and so what I found myself doing is really being more picky in who I work with and really interviewing them and saying, "Hey, here's what's needed, can you put in the time? Can you put in the hours?" We've laid out everything very clearly in our program. How long do you think it would take you to get success? What if it takes you longer? Like, really interview the clients and really see if they're a good fit for you. So many times we get in this thirsty point and we need money, but we don't realize we're sacrificing the next dollar to receive that money. And so,
Come
interview your
on.
clients, I would say, is probably the one of the biggest things. And so I really grill them, make sure it's a good fit. Here's case scenario. Here's worst case scenario. Here's what we can ensure through the process. We'll ensure that you get all your money back and we're not done working with you until that is. Here's what you're responsible for on your end with that type of insurance policy. Here's what we're responsible for on our end. And just make sure you're walking with no hidden expectations. And I would say that's probably one of the biggest things is you're walking in with so many hidden expectations. When we think of a coach, we all have our personalities. We also have our different experiences. So when we come in, we're kind of all expecting and wanting something different, through the
Mhm,
process. Like, I
mhm.
talk about the 4 archetypes: the king, lover, magician, and warrior. You are a queen lover, is how I would classify you.
Thank you. Give me that.
Yeah, you're very, it's easy to connect with you. You have a great energy, a great vibe with you. But also, this podcast, you're a queen, you're a leader, you're a visionary, right? And so a visionary comes into a coaching program looking for what's the result? What's the big picture here? Help me see everything. And if someone was more of a lover, that's their primary archetype. They are like, I want to feel connected to this. I want to feel connected to my coach. I want a deeper relationship through this process.
Wow.
And so when we don't get those, then we fall into the shadows of those archetypes.
Wow.
And then the shadow comes out of each one of those. And so really understanding your client and all those, I would say, is a next, like, really good step through the process. And then, yeah, just, the one of the first sessions, we really get into the granular of the programs. Here's when you can contact us. Here's our marketing philosophy. Here's our sales philosophy. Here's the 4 rules of creating success. The biggest one is I call what's called the power promise. Have you ever heard of a power promise before?
No.
I learned this from someone years ago and I adopted it. It was like 7 or 8 years ago. And I was like, wow, that's such a great thing. And it's been
I
life
have not
changing.
heard it.
There's so many
They talk
KPIs.
about your what's the something offer? Your something offer. That's the word I heard a lot, and I got tired of hearing it.
Yeah. Um, anyways, have you ever noticed that well, let me ask you this question. What are the most important key performance indicators with your business, would you say?
For me, is number 1 having a great client provider relationship. I say provider based on what service I'm providing, one that evolves and has levels. And then the other one is me, number 1, being finding security in it, no matter if it's a long-term contract or short-term or it's just an encounter. Is that really making a difference in their work and in their life or business or whatever it is, making a difference, but not the one that I assume that they need. Is the one that they come to me for or are in relationship with me. So having that clarity and showing up, and then at the same time ensuring that what I'm going to do with that client is also fulfilling what I've laid out and prescribed for me to do. Because a lot of times I've met so many people and they're suggesting that they need this from me, but those are not my people just because I'm saying that. And then the other one is altogether is success is achieved both on both for both of us. Those are my KPIs. But having a KPI, you have to have measurable perform. It's measurable. That's the whole point of a KPI. You have to be able to measure how do you get to those things. And that's my business side. So tell me about that. I never thought about having KPIs for my business sense, but for my operations and the team that's with me, we do have our KPIs, but not for working with my clients. So this is new and refreshing.
Yeah, there's so many indicators to look at in your business. How many leads are you getting each day? How many applications are coming in? How many posts are you doing? How many one-on-one consultations? Like there's so many numbers to look at. And so the power promise
Mm,
is looking at what's the core most indicator that is most correlated with your success that you've noticed over a time period. So what's the
mhm,
thing that I'm doing or not doing that is most correlated with my success? So when I started to really look at this, what is the core most KPI that I can look at and measure, like you're saying, that's going to correlate with my success? And what I've identified
mm,
is some different. Others have said going to the gym. Going to the gym is such an automated thing to me. I feel like I would be setting myself up for failure if that was all I did because I go anyways. You know what I mean?
right, exactly.
Yeah.
It's not a question if you're going to work out. It's just like sleeping and eating. It's part of
Yeah,
your life. Yeah.
yeah, it's just part of me, but what have I identified over the years is my core most KPI is praying every day and drinking half my body weight of ounces of water. When I'm doing those things, my energy's up, I wanna do more things, I wanna market more, I have a more vibrating energy that bring people in, I've just noticed, and when I'm not doing those
Yes.
things are not happening, and it's to the point where it's just like it's too correlated with my success to ignore such an easy thing to do. And so one of the
Mhm.
first things we do when we sit
Yes.
down with people is saying, "What's our power promise? What's the thing that's most correlated?" So some
Mm,
people say they're they say makeup in the morning. I need to put on my face before I face the world. Great. I love that. Let's do
okay.
that one. So everyone has a different one.
Their
So if
own
you're
thing.
listening
Yeah.
right now, what is your power promise? What's the thing that's most correlated with your success if you're looking back on time?
Yes. So you're saying for me personally, I would have a power promise to myself
Yep.
or to my business, just in
To
my life.
yourself.
So I guess I would love to be your muse in this situation to walk me through that. So if I had to say my power promise is that I will disrupt limitations within myself and any person that I meet so that they can connect with who they truly are already, reconnect sometimes and just really create a life of freedom and abundance. That is my power promise. So for me it goes in moments and moment by moment because don't want to get into all of it, but a lot of times we look at freedom and abundance, we measure it by just things that are outside of us. But for me, it starts within. So respond to that and tell me if I'm on track with the power promise.
Yeah, I refer to that, no disrespect, as the Miss America answer. It's a great answer. It's a great answer. However, there's no way I can really measure that. So
Okay.
for you, I would say like an example, like you need to I put this out in my brotherhood the other day, message one person every day
Mhm.
about what they've done to actually make a difference in your life and show them appreciation. So something
Mm.
that's black and white, yes or no. So that other one is great. I love that. It's just really hard to measure that. You know what I mean?
Okay. That's why I wanted to test it because a lot of people are listening and they're probably because that's how I think that's what I believe I'm on the earth for. So that's my, I guess, purpose, mission. But this power promise,
No, you just what if you look back on your career and your business, what are
Uh-huh.
the habits that you are doing or not doing that you feel like has been most correlated with your success?
It's consistency
Consistent
and
in what? What are you most consistent in that helps align everything?
consistent at doing what I say I would do and being willing to pivot when the way I'm doing it does not really bring my results that
Okay.
I need.
I would say let's go in deeper.
It's having a growth mindset.
Okay. And what's the number one thing you do to have a growth mindset?
Is I'm always open to learning, being a student, and changing and pivoting when I need to.
So then I would say, is it reading a certain amount of pages every day? Is it listening to a podcast every day? So how do we measure that so we can say it's done or it's not done?
Great. So I read every day.
Okay.
I read every day at least for 15 minutes. I read every day, even if it's 1 in the morning. That's when my day's done. I'm reading.
You do that?
Yes, I do.
That's really impressive, by the way.
I
That's
do
really
read
impressive.
every day. I literally, but I read because I have my audiobook. And of course, I pray. That's a non negotiable for me. Prayer, just like you. And my prayer can be a meditative prayer where I'm just quiet and listening to God. I don't really ask for anything. I'm grateful for everything when I'm talking to God. That's just my way now because a lot of times the asking for me used to sound like, God, can you please, Lord, please do this, do this. And I'm like, okay, I thank you because you've already created a way. You've already connected me with the right person. You've already opened the door. Now I want to stay in line with what you have for me so I can connect with there. If there's anything within me that's blocking that connection from blocking me to that next level, please help me reveal it. And that's when I stay quiet and I listen. So I would say if I had to go back, I would say that would be my number one thing, even before reading.
Okay. Yep. So that would be your power promise.
Okay. That I pray every day, pray and
Yep.
listen in meditation every day.
Yep.
Gotcha.
So
So I
when things are
understand
off,
the concept now. Yeah.
yeah. So when things are off, what thing do we look at first? Well, we look at our power promise. Okay. Then we look at our schedule, right? Then we look at our business, like, then we start working our way out. Like, money's clear out here, right? Money's clear out here. So we got to money is the byproduct of the value you create. Well, where does that value start? Starts with your power promise. Starts with you.
So that power promise, and you're absolutely right. As I connect what you're saying now, I'm understanding what this power promise is, and you bringing me down to the core from all the wonderful things, but the nucleus of
Mhm.
what I do and how I get it done. It is
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
It is that. It is the ability to stop, to number one, prioritize it, but I do it many times throughout the day. It's where I go when I feel confused, when I feel lost, when things aren't working, when I'm upset. It's where I go. I go back to my prayer and my meditation. Okay. So, breakthrough moment for me right here on Mindset Master Moments with Travis Brady. I am telling you all, I am always willing, Travis, to allow thought leaders and visionaries and individuals who are mastering an area to allow me to be. Number one, it's a good breakthrough for me. And my breakthrough, I pray that it represents for someone that breakthrough is possible and it doesn't have to take 20 years to get it. It's the willingness to submit to someone who knows what they're doing and have done it over and over again. That is the accelerated cheat code in anything you're going to do. And I'm saying that because I want you to respond because you said you cannot bypass the work. And I agree with that. But if you're going to get anything that looks like a shortcut, it's going to be surrender to working with a person, a coach that is in alignment with where your next level is, and you just surrender. And that's what I'm hoping people caught. I wasn't pretending. No matter what I know and what I do, I help people through those moments. But you just showed what your coaching looks like. No bull. He said, that's the Miss America answer. And in my mind, I'm like, I don't like the Miss America answer. I'm like, that's my truth. Yes, it is your truth. Nothing wrong with it. That's not what he said. He said, but you need to go deeper. And in that moment, I could have done one thing. And I'm saying this on purpose. I could have blocked. I could have been like, how dare you call me Miss America? This is the problem I have with everybody. They always think because I wear red lipstick and I have my hair long, I'm ditzy. Those are narratives I used to have, Travis. But you have to be able to move past that and be like, oh, it was? Because here's the thing, you can't help me as a coachee get results if I'm getting stuck on BS narratives, limiting beliefs. And again, if I get stuck on what I think people think about me, I'm never going to make progress. I had to stay present with you, like Max, like your dog Max. Stay present and be like, where is he taking me next? When you're choosing a coach and you're letting someone speaking to your life, it's surrender. So I had surrender. I'm like, okay, so that's a Miss Universe answer. Fine. What is the answer then? How do I get there? Is what I asked. Would be, if there was a third and a fourth power promise, that would be my second power promise to myself. It's to stay in learning and to surrender.
Yeah, it's such a good attribute to have, especially when you're growing. I think when we get stuck in life is because we close off our heart, our mind, our soul to the world of what it can give us. I believe God wants to spoil us. I have kids. I wanna spoil my kid. Not that I would spoil
Yeah.
my kid.
For them to go on a down a path of fail, but making sure they have fullness. I get you.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of science behind, the power promise too, especially the prayer, and, I like to speak to I don't know why I do this, I like to speak to atheists a lot
Come through.
because
Do
not
it.
that I'm trying to convert you, who in the fuck am I to tell you what to believe and what your values? All I'm here to say is know your values, know what you believe, and I'm gonna share what I believe, and you're welcome to be, do, have whatever you choose. But I believe when we're starting to come into our intuition, into our body. Our body is very, very smart. Our body's been on this planet for millions of years, so there's a lot of intuition that their body has learned through the generations of time. So it helps you do that. It helps you get quiet. There's so much noise in our society today. There's so much information. It helps you be grateful, and being grateful just
Yes.
raises your vibration.
Mm.
Asking for things, because then you're telling your brain to be conscious of it, to look for it. You said something earlier about what you pray for, and then it really brought me back to this main point. What'd you say earlier
I was
about?
saying that instead of necessarily, oh God, I need this car, I need this new client, I need 5 clients. Oh God. And it's like, okay, I thank you for it. And I thank you for the direction. And I thank you for the guidance because they're there. They already are there. It's
Yeah,
me allowing myself, instead of being frantic, calming myself, my spirit, my mind, my body, and getting it also in alignment where I move in the direction according to how God is guiding me to what He's already prepared for me. That's my mindset and how I pray.
yeah. So, I mean, taking away the spiritual aspect, there's an absolute science behind it as well through the process, and
Yes,
that's what I try
absolutely. I
to
know that
remind
too. Yes,
people up through the process. And what I've learned this last year, with God is going to hear you no matter what, no matter if you're
yes.
swearing, no matter if you're angry, no matter if you're crying or sad,
Does
he
not
will
discriminate that.
always hear you. But when
Hmm.
you're angry, when you're sad, when you're crying, you can't hear
Can't
God.
hear Him. Come on.
Yes.
That's a
Yeah.
whole that's a whole sermon. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Keep going, Travis.
Yeah, so I just learned that last year. There was, I went through a divorce, years ago, and, everything just got flipped upside down, and I'm finding myself crying to God in the closet, begging him, to help, begging him for all these things, and I realized, yes, he hears me, but I can't hear him
Hear
in those
Him.
moments. And he wants to help me. He wants to give us the world, but he also wants us to be open to it. So that's been like my big epiphany this last
Yes.
year.
I
So I just
love
wanted to
that.
share that. Yeah.
That's powerful. I'm going to comment on that. I've been through divorce too, and there's something about going through that journey that you can either decide to completely go. I feel like it's such a pivotal moment where you can allow your life to go down, to go to shits, as I would say, or you're going to face it as, what do I need to learn? And not how do I get over this, but how do I get through whatever ceiling it's creating for me or it has created for me, and just go further and deeper into what I was created for. But what I would say when you said that you learn, and like I said, there's absolute science. That's why I changed it. And I didn't just stay on my religious belief, because the science is really that God has everything for you. It's only you that's blocking you. That's why I love the phrase, it's me against me, only because what I'm willing to surrender to is or not surrender to is what is blocking or opening me to my next level, and what my wants, needs, and desires are, whatever that be, relationship, material things, freedom, peace of mind, whatever that is. I'm the only reason why I am not accessing it, or I am the only reason that is responsible for allowing it to access it. And I think that if you can comment on that, because then a lot of people challenge us and say, well, there are things that happen, like your divorce, or maybe your partner bankrupted the business without you knowing. How does that have anything to do with you? Talk to us about that juxtaposition in that mindset.
Yeah, such a great question. After my divorce, I said one of these three things had to have happened. You were a part of it, okay? You allowed it to happen, or you created it. One of those three
So
things.
you were
And
in alignment with me. Come
yeah,
on, I love it.
however, I was dead wrong when I said that.
Wow.
And here's what I've learned. It's not that one of those three happened. All three
All
of
of
those
three
things
ha-
have happened.
Yes.
Yeah, all three of
Yes.
those things in different aspects of it. And I think that's where I got to grow. And I'm not going to mention any names for those who follow me and there's no who, but I had a conversation with my ex the other day, and it was one of the first moments that I've had with her
Mhm.
where I was like really thoroughly impressed with how she approached the conversation. It wasn't like
Mm.
it was back and I was like, "Hey, I just have to let you know that this is one of the first times I'm seeing this from you, and I really appreciate that. And I just thought I would let you know that because, and I don't have, there's no strings attached to what I'm saying, but it was awesome. And I really appreciated it the way that you handled that whole situation.
Yes.
And, seeing growth is so important, not just seeing growth in you, but also seeing growth in other
And
people
others.
is such a huge important thing in life. And
Mhm.
most of the time, we don't need to learn something more. We need reminded. I'm learning that.
Yes.
I need reminded. I need reminded of that thing I very just said. And so when I speak these things, it's me also reminding myself of these things. Because as
Yes.
leaders, we go to all the trainings, we listen to all the things, and we have so much crammed, and it's not really gaining anything new. It's a new perspective, it's a new understanding, and it's a reminder of those things that we already know.
That's so true. That's beautiful. Let's talk about that shift, the moment you realized that even the best strategies can't replace ownership. I like to say leadership is ownership. I love the phrase by John Maxwell, leadership is influence. But a few years ago, I still subscribe to influence as well. But for me, my core is that it's ownership. And a lot of us, it's leadership is not a title. It's you leading. We're all responsible for maybe your kids, our dog, some area or a job, a task at our job. Like that's still leadership in that space. So it's for me, it's ownership. But what I've learned is in my own leadership journey that transformation doesn't just come from a new plan, it comes from a new pattern of thought. And I love that your message isn't the grind harder one, it's to own it deeper. That big difference. Because we have generations of entrepreneurs who love the idea of freedom, but not truly the process of building. So when you said that things become easier the second we stop expecting them to be easy, that is a mindset breakthrough. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, the saying goes, business isn't easy, and as soon as you accept the fact that it isn't easy is the very moment that it gets easier. I think we come in with these false expectations of what we think is gonna be successful, and we do it in all different areas of our life. And I remember when I first get started years ago, I was 18, was learning how to code my website. I put the add the cart button on there going, "Oh, I'm gonna wake up and sales are gonna be, in my bank account." I don't know why I ever thought that would ever happen. Someone would just casually come to my website and see some scribbles, and we think, and I see these same things that other
Fairiness.
entrepreneurs do, and I was like, "Yeah, I was once naive like that too." When I first started working out, I thought I would look the way I do right now after 4 months of effort. We just have these false expectations because that's what we get
Yes.
introduced to all the times, in life. And it's unfortunate because when we really do get in there and there really is progress, the way we're branding it to ourselves is we're failing, we're not good enough. My best isn't good enough. Things don't work out the way that I want. We run into these self deliberate, they're just self debilitating beliefs that
Yes.
get us stuck, through the process. So
The second you stop expecting everything to be easy is the second things become easier. That's what you're saying is. So yeah, I felt like you did it. For me, it's a mindset breakthrough because resistance often feels like like it's self-created. And I think it is. I think that when we create resistance in our thought processes, and that's what I'm learning. This is why when even in my prayer, this is why I pray differently. Because I learned that there's many times we pray and we're praying in fear, right? Or we're praying and asking God, the universe, however we call it, to align things for us according to how we see it. But abundance, we have limitations. So it's like, okay, God, help me find my way to work today. Okay, so that's what you're gonna get. That's what's gonna become reality for you. But if you're like, you're you're like, I am surrendering because I know why I'm on this earth. I know why you created me. I am surrendering to doing that at the highest level you have for me. Yes, I have a vision to coach 1,000 entrepreneurs by the end of 2026, but I don't have all the details. I do have some things. So I'm surrendering because it might be that God has 10,000 for me. My 1,000 is because in my mind, I'm looking at how many hours are in the day, blah, 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 blah. And I'm trying to be practical about it and what I do and what else I want to accomplish. But God is like, no, maybe He's like, just focus on the entrepreneurs. You're going to put all this other stuff to the side. Oh, you love Mindset Mastery Moments, but you won't be doing it right now. Maybe there's another host that's going to take over the show for a while because you're going to focus on working with entrepreneurs. And those entrepreneurs, it's not 1,000, it's 10,000 of them. I don't know. So I surrender. I have my plan and I let God's will run my plan.
yeah, I love that. A big part of why I feel like we get limited, with our brand and business is because we're trained in the complete opposite ways. One of my favorite questions to ask people is, were your parents entrepreneurs growing up? Did you have an example of an entrepreneur growing up? Or what did your parents do when you were growing up?
My 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 mom was a stay-at-home mom when I was in my younger years, and then her first job ever was her own business. And my dad worked he was the senior mechanical engineer at the only telephone company in our country, but he also ran his own business where he was anything tech. He literally fixed television, radios, refrigerators, cars, trucks, vans, anything. And he made a lot more money than what he made at his job doing those. And so it wasn't until like a year ago, I realized the fact that I started all my business operations while I'm working and didn't make an excuse for it because it was a norm for me. I realized that it was a norm for me in my environment with my growing up with my dad. And even there were just people that influenced my thought processes, like in church, that were kind of doing the same thing. And a lot of women who were stay-at-home moms, they still had a side business of teaching women how to sew or baking and people picking up their pastries and bread. So that was just a part of my environment. So when I came to the US and I'm working, me starting a business didn't mean anything. It was like, that's what you do. That's how you create generational wealth. That's how you lighten the load of just depending on a paycheck. And so I realized that mindset was already built in me and there was a formula. And that's why I'm so passionate about helping 9-to-5ers not just transition, but have a plan if they want to. And even while you're 9 to 5, to have an entrepreneurial mindset, because your job, your employers, they actually have more value out of you when you have an entrepreneurial mindset and not just a do-gooder, do whatever needs to be done to get the next promotion. They don't really respect people like that. And a lot of them feel used and abused and pushed out because they're just playing in the game of the corporate world to get to my next promotion to where I can get that $2 more. And I'm like, $2 more when you can probably sell a product, something you're really good at, or offer a service for $1,000 and be done in an hour.
Yeah, they say a wild lion, if you take them and put them in the zoo, they hate it. They hate being trapped. They hate being that you take a zoo lion, you put it out in the wild, it doesn't know how to survive because it hasn't grown. And I think that's the same way with growing up. You know, if you grew up with your
Mm,
parents in corporate, you know, you've been trained your entire life to think corporately, to think linearly. You know,
yes.
we had a brand X workshop this last week, and you know, we really dove into what is time. How do we measure time? Well, we measure time in the form of movement, right? Why is it a year? Because it takes 365 days for the earth to go around the sun. Why is it 1 day? Because that's how long it takes for the earth to rotate. Venus is 256 days is one earth day. Mars is pretty close to earth, which is 25. It'll take,
Wow.
I think they said 9 years for Pluto or Saturn to go over the sun. So each planet's time is measured in the form of movement. So when we go work for people, we're getting paid by the hour. We're getting paid
Mm-hmm.
linearly. So it teaches us to operate that. So when we fire our boss, because we
Mm.
hate our boss because we're not getting paid, now we go to create our own job. And now we realize we hate the boss again, and it's us because we're doing all this extra shit and we are not
Yes.
getting paid for it, just like we did when we worked at the job. So it's like
Pick
starting all over
one.
again. Yeah.
Yes.
So, but anyways, what I was going to say is, you know, that's why I'm such a big believer in building a brand. You know, when you build a brand, you change the way that people perceive you, and you should be getting paid for being, not doing. And when you don't brand, you have to force yourself to do to receive money. I'm in the process of creating this multi-million dollar partnership, and I know a huge part of it is because they came to the event, they saw my network, they see me on stages, you know, and they said, "Hey, I would love to partner with you on this project."
Because
And
you were
yeah,
being Travis Brady.
yeah, and I
You were
think
being what you were put on the earth to do. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
yeah, yeah, it's yeah, it goes right in alignment. So, you know, people say branding superficial or it's fake, and I don't want to be a part of any of that. And I was definitely there earlier on. You know,
Mm.
I only saw the slogan as a fake slogan. I didn't see it for what it was. That's not what branding is. Branding is really starting with, why am I here on this planet?
Yes.
Okay. There is more stars in the universe than there are grains of sand in all the beaches in all the world. God
Mm.
does not know small by any means necessary. He has so
Right.
many big things planned for you. So what does that mean? What does that mean about your life? What happens when you die? What do you feel when you die? What does that mean about how you lived? What does that mean how you wake up each day? Like, we don't even realize how many of our subconscious beliefs are programmed in us. And then
Mhm.
they start with that nucleus, and then they work our way out to the business aspect of it. And so if you're getting tired of doing to bring in money, then you need a brand so you get paid for being.
I love that, and I am subscribing to that, and I think somebody's gonna say so said because I mentioned earlier that one of your philosophies is not about hard work. Now, talk to us about what it truly looks like, because you've said that also that branding isn't a logo. It's the identity of the soul of your business expressed visually and verbally. So people think that a Canva template is branding. But what you're really talking about is alignment, right? The identity message, the influence all working
Yeah.
together.
Yeah, branding's not a logo, but it's not a logo. Branding's not a website, but it's not a website. So I see people skipping off on these things too, and I'm just like, they're important things. You can say, "Well, I'm not subscribing to that game per se," and you can call it whatever game you want. And I promise you, it doesn't matter how you feel about the game. The game is still going to be played at an unconscious level, because the truth of it is, when someone walks into the room and they see you all put together on stage speaking, they have a different idea about who Dr. Alisa White is, versus they see you pulling yourself out of a Sunday morning, you're sick, your snot is maybe still running out your nose a little bit, and then you go to the store and maybe someone does something to piss you off and you make a remark, something, and that
Yes.
wasn't the kindest. Now what's their perception of you, right? It's completely
Right.
different. And so you got to
Right.
understand that perception is everything. And it's not the
Mm,
first impression, it's the lasting impression. I'm never going to
mm.
subscribe to the first impression, because I've had a lot of bad impressions in my life, but I don't really get stuck on those, because it's the lasting impression, you know,
That's
that
what, yeah.
that you want to make. And so, yeah, it really starts with some of those deep things that I've talked about. Why are you here? It's taking my clients through it over the years. They have then really had some really deep crisis. They're like, okay, now that I take a deeper look at this, I'm really questioning everything I've been taught while I'm older, about all these things. I was like, well, good. I think it is good to question those things because you're going to come to a new truth. You're going to come to a higher truth, a higher understanding. And the more you know something or understand something, the more you can walk in alignment with that something.
I
So
agree.
branding is, what's your mission? What's your vision? Personal branding is so counterintuitive because deep down inside of us, I don't want to talk about myself. I don't want to talk about all these things. I don't want to make it about me. I came into business because I wanted to help other people, but then personal branding is making it about me. It feels so weird. And I've had a lot of these, conversations with clients. I was like, listen, it might be a personal brand, but it's not necessarily about you. It's about other people. And you're standing
Yes.
there saying, this is what I stand for. This is what I see. Here's my mission. And I'm on this path. And if you're on the same path with you, I would love to help you through the process because I've been up and down this mountain. And those are the types
Exactly.
of leaders we love to follow. Jesus didn't come here to be a leader. Jesus came here to be a follower. And by default, he
Mm,
realized that his greatest thing he needed to do was lead. So the leaders we love to follow are not leaders, they're actually followers. We love
come on
following.
now.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's what I talk about. That's why I speak on surrender. Because and I have no issues because people I always tell everyone this podcast, when I select a guest, it's out of number one, curiosity. I don't select guests that necessarily even believe or agree on the things that I might have believed because I realize that some of my belief systems are not even mine and they're creating limitation. So when I see someone, I get a podcast pitch and it's like the presenter or that person who's pitching says something, I'm like, that's really good, I want to learn more about that. Or I go, huh, that is not how that works. Anytime I do that, that's who I need on the podcast. If anybody is ever wondering what my selection process looks like, that's what it is. It challenges me because I feel like I am a conduit for the message that need to get out to the world in the small space that I have. And so you have a message. And I'm like, once you're able to disrupt my mindset and my limitations, I know there's at least one other person that's going to get that. I mean, it's just breakthrough after breakthrough. But again, it's that ability to surrender and follow. I think the greatest leaders are among us are the greatest learners. We've heard you say in the last less than hour how many different people you have surrendered your journey to and learned from the get-go and had breakthrough after breakthrough after breakthrough. I know you can't sit here and share and chalk them up. And so if we watch how much you have accomplished and how much you're bringing to the world, we see that. It's no different from my life. I did not become who I am without I first when I didn't have money for therapy, I surrendered to listening to podcasts years ago when I went through my divorce, watching YouTube videos from Brandon Burchard. What's her name? Mel Robbins. These are some of the podcasts and things people who disrupt my limitations and my belief systems when I didn't have a therapist and I couldn't afford one coming out of a divorce. So it always I surrendered there and they were my mentors and coaches from afar. And then I got in the Maxwell team and then I got my coach and then I started going to therapy and doing that. All these things I had to surrender. And so I realized that was my magic weapon. It was following something and still not losing my identity in that or in that person. Like I don't want to become Travis Brady, but I want to learn the secrets and the breakthroughs that Travis has had and how he's done it because you've created a blueprint, a formula. So here's a question I'm going to ask you. Who do you work with and what does it require? What is required for them to be able to work with you?
Yeah, we want to work with the disruptors of their industries, the leaders of their niche, people that want to impact more lives. And we work with people that want to build communities and get on stages and put together events, mostly service based. We've worked with a lot of coaches and speakers, real estate and insurance have been
Mm,
a top realm as well. We're working with a Arizona brand called Arizona Pool Daddy. So that's been really different and unique. through the process. But really, the goal is to come in and really find out, yeah, what's your strengths, what's your weaknesses, what's your unique angles, and how are we going to get attention? And I think sometimes we judge how we get attention. And sometimes the shadows of us and the times that where we made the most mistakes, that's honestly sometimes what gets the most attention. So sometimes we're not putting the right face forward, and so it's really hard to see your brand. It's really hard for me to see my brand. Because by the time you're looking in the mirror, you're already reflecting off what you want to see and
Mm-hmm.
and so that's why transformation is so hard, is because you're in the moccasins going through everything every single day. So you can't really see your own eyeballs. You can't really see yourself. And so coming from an outside perspective and the way that we take people through the branding process is really, the reason why I call myself the alchemist, the branding alchemist, is, have you ever read the book, The Alchemist?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. What did you learn? What did you learn as you read that book? What was your big
I
takeaway?
actually call myself an alchemist. I guess the biggest thing for me is that everything that has occurred in my life is, I would say, a stepping stone to where I have been created to be and I also desire to be. That's my takeaway from The Alchemist. So it's not, oh my God, this happened. Why did this happen? Even though my default flawed human thinking will go there, have gone there. It's going there less and less in these latter years of my life. It's like, okay, so that happened, this happened. Okay, what did I learn from it? How did that actually pivot me? Because if I didn't go through divorce, you all would never have met me. I wouldn't be on this podcast. I'd be doing something different. So for me, it all adds up. And if I am willing to take it and use it as, like, when you're making dough for bread, you have to put everything and mold it in together. So that's what I got from The Alchemist, is that I'm going to mold all of it and use it to make bread that
Nice.
feed the masses.
Yeah, one of my takeaways is the riches you want are right at home, you know?
Ooh.
They're right at home. Anyways, if you haven't read it, he goes in, Santiago goes on this journey to the pyramids because that's where all the wealth is, and so along the journey, falls in love, gets stolen from, goes through all
Mhm.
these ups and downs, and he gets the pyramids, and he realized the gold that he seeked was back home where he began the journey, but the real wealth was actually in the journey itself. And
Itself.
that's where your brand is. That's where your wealth is. That's where your money's at, is in your
Wow.
journeys, everything you've went through, everything you've gone through. I watch people get up there and preach and talk about all these things, and they're great. I can tell you learned it, but when you start sharing your story, I watch what the audience does. I watch how they turn. I watch how they
Come on
lean
now.
in. I watch how they are then
Their
sold on your
bodies.
story.
Yes.
Yeah, your
Yes.
story will transform your world. So our bread and butter is really putting together high level sales documentaries that sell the story behind the brand and really help you build a deeper relationship with your clients, earlier in the journey, because we work with people we know, like, and trust. Well, how long does that take to do? Uh,
Mhm.
it can take a long time. So we use the documentary to really catapult that
Impact that.
that process. And a lot of people, they have sales teams. They can't get on the phone with everyone, but they want to have the influence through everyone. Documentaries, a great reason. I love books. I think everyone should have a book. Book also are kind of like the olden days of building a brand. It's really hard to sit down and read a book.
That's right. I
So
only
it's a
do
lot
Audible in
easier.
this season.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to pass on a video, so for our digital age. And so, yeah, if you're looking for help in your brand, really first step is go to findyourbrandxfactor.com. It's a docu-series I spent over a year and $1,000 putting together. It has 4 different videos, all based around the different archetypes: the lover, magician, warrior, and king, how each one is influenced and how to influence the archetypes. And then I have a branding blueprint. I have other ebooks and a lot of other quizzes. Like, there's a lot of really cool, awesome free resources. So it's
Yes.
findyourbrandxfactor.com.
Findyourbrandxfactor.com, and it will be in the description wherever you're listening and watching to this. The thing I have to say is, when I met you first, I didn't do any research. I just thought that you do just help with the branding piece. And I want our listeners and viewers to understand the results that he brings with the documentary and his team, and ensuring you get the right logos and color scheme, whatever that looks like, getting your right website. It is a result of clarity. That is the massive thing about what Travis, how he helps individuals and teams with this, is because helps bring you to clarity. You guys saw that here with how he worked with me today. And I always tell people I've been building a brand, but I have not concluded the appearance of it because of all the different types of limitations. What is the fact that I'm working in a corporate world and I don't want them to know how big I'm going. And I didn't want to put out too much buzz out there. I sat on those limitations for a while. But when I think of working with someone who would help me brand, I did not just want someone who helps me build a nice website, a nice logo, and write a nice book and then say, here you go. I wanted to make sure that the why that I'm here is evident. And it's like, it's just a symphony. When you look at me, when you look at what's out there, because you're going to see my website more than sometimes before you see me. You might see a funnel. You might see a photo of me that I'm speaking here. What am I representing when that happens? And so I believe that's the part of the brand imagery. But the brand, as Travis told us, is being in alignment with clarity. Tell me, Travis, you're itching to say something. Tell me, but I'm saying that's what I get from what you do and why I would work with you.
Yeah, let me grab something. I thought I had my branding book with me. Anyways, yeah, when I first got into branding years ago, I was on the board of the National Speakers Association.
Oh, okay.
And
NSA.
I was out in the hallway with one of the past presidents, and he was like, "Hey, I see you're going a new direction in your business. Tell me about it." I was like, "Yeah, going in the branding. I just really feel like it's the foundation, blah, blah, blah." And he's like, "Yeah, here's what I've noticed." He's like, "I've noticed it takes people about 7 to 8 years to, like, really find their true, real, authentic brand." And
Mm-hmm.
when he said it, it just, like, hit me. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
wow, that is so true. It does take
Mm-hmm.
people a long time
Mm-hmm.
to really figure out, what do I stand for? What do I believe? Does it
Who I
put an
want to
extra
work with,
pep in
really.
the step? Who do I want to work with? What am I offering? Right. And I really thought about that. I was like, why does it take people so long? So I thought about that over and over and over. And then over the
Mm,
course of the next years, I essentially reverse engineered that process from 8 years down to 8 weeks. And with the
oh,
help of AI, we could legitimately get it done in hours because it's able to bounce back so many things so
so
fast,
quickly.
so
Yes.
quickly. So it's yeah, AI has been a game changer. I can't even believe my
I have to
productivity.
have you come back and do another episode where we talk about that a little bit and
Yeah,
how to use
it's
it in
and I
business.
actually didn't even know how important it was. My business partner was watching me do this with a client, and he's like, "Oh my god, that is incredible." I was like, "What?" And he's just
Mhm.
like, I didn't really think of it. And then as I started to see really what the output, I was like, wow, that is a pretty powerful to go through. So anyways, the takeaway that I hope the listener takes away is, where does that process begin? Who am I? Why am I here? What's the purpose of this all?
Come on.
That's really where we start the conversation.
Love it. Travis, what is success to you?
Success to me is setting a goal and achieving it. I know it sounds pretty simple in terms, but I think we should always be redefining what success looks like.
Success looks like, yes. I believe I'm in the season where that's my definition of success. It's like I'm having my masterclass this weekend, and when the first two people bought, by the time I caught it, the first two people bought tickets to attend. It was a huge win. Because yes, I know people have been asking, but a lot of people talk and stuff like that, and I hadn't really marketed it yet. But it was a win for me. So I put it out and I wanted, and watching those people securing their spot, joining the community, for me, that's success right now in this season. For some other people, it might be a six-figure day, but for me, it's having people say, yes, I want what you're offering, and being willing to contribute to it. And I say contribution because I don't think we can really pay people to help us get transformation. I think it's a contribution, a monetary contribution. Maybe that's a mindset shift that I need, but in this season, it's a monetary contribution.
Yeah, they say transformation cannot happen without an investment of something and a sacrifice of something. And so I'll never tell someone what they should sacrifice. And that's not my job to decide what you need to sacrifice. However, there is investment. There's investment of movements, of time, of resources. And so transformation requires both of those.
Exactly. I would say you said both. It's like you said, it wasn't one, two, three. It was all three. It has to be, because a lot of people make the sacrifice to pay for programs, to pay to be in a coaching, and then they don't commit mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and I would say with their time. And you're not going to get the results. And it's no one else. I don't want to say fault, but again, it's up to you. What are you willing to surrender to get the results? And so thank you so much, Travis. Everyone, Travis, it's been such a rich and real, refreshing conversation with you.
Thank you.
I can't wait to have more. I'm looking forward to being at your events and also having you help me bring some more clarity and what I need with my own brand. And I'm saying that out here on the pod, because my favorite part is that you're right here in Arizona. I don't have to talk to you only online. I can meet you. Your team can do my documentary for me. So I'm just excited to get in that next phase with you and have you help guide me. You guys can go to his website. There's some amazing testimonials as well. Follow him on Instagram. He is phenomenal. And I believe he is one of the people that is going to raise up thought leadership in the Arizona market. And when I say market, I'm not just talking business, but I'm talking about for business professionals, people who are building brands that will bring change to the world in this season. I believe, Travis, you're definitely called to lead that for us. And I am humbly surrendering to what that looks like in my own journey and how I get to be a part of it.
Yeah, I really great appreciated it. And I've had so much fun being on here and getting to know you and having you at Brand X. You are a vibe, sister. You are I could see why people gravitate towards you
Thank you.
and want to be around you. You're so humble, you're so open, and you just have all the right ingredients that people love to follow. So it's like it doesn't even surprise me one little bit about what you've been able to do. So I'm really grateful to have met you, and I'm sure we're going to be doing lots of really fun stuff together through the process. Okay, love it. Thank you.
All right, disruptors, until next time, keep mastering your mindset. Think, speak, do become. Let Travis know you heard us. You heard him here. Let him know you listened to him on Mindset Mastery Moments, and check out all the free things he has and see how you can work with him. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.